My name is Belkis, and today I'll be making a tutorial on a princess dart. What is a princess dart? A princess dart is just a connection of shoulder dart to the waist dart or armhole dart to the waist dart. And today I'll be making two types of princess dart, the classic one and the modified princess dart called Princess Bustier. Let's get started. So first I'll be starting with the classic princess dart. I've made a video on how to draft a basic body pattern. So now from this, I'll start by measuring my armhole. Here I have 11 inches. Then you divide it into two. 11 inches divided by 2 is 5.5 inches, which is this. Then we come down by either half inch if you are drawing a pattern, but if you are drawing directly on your fabric, you come down by 1 inch. That is half inch for the darts and half inch for the sewing allowance. So let's assume this is our fabric. I'll come down by 1 inch, which is here. Then we'll start by drawing a straight line from here to the bust point. After doing that, you measure half an inch on both sides for our armhole or arm side dart. And also measure 1 inch from the bust point upward. After doing that, connect the darts. So here I have half an inch dart on each side. After doing that, because we have added 1 inch dart, you make sure you add it to the allowance here. The 1 inch dart should also come here. So you add it to the original bust measurement. After doing that, then you come upward by 1 inch. Because the width of our dart here is 1 inch. So you come up by 1 inch. And then we form a new armhole. The reason for this is, if you do not come up by 1 inch, you will be having something like this after sewing. But if you come up like this by 1 inch, you have a perfect seam like this. So on doing that, we go to our waist. So our bust span divided by 2 plus half an inch is 5, which I've explained in my previous video. And then I said for the dart, you come down by 1 inch from the bust point. After that, and also on the waistline, you'll be going in 1 inch on each side. From my previous one, I used half an inch on both sides, but here I'm using 1 inch on both sides, which I will explain after finishing this. Then you draw a straight line connecting that, and you map out the dart. After doing that, then we connect the dart of the armhole to that of the waistline using a French curve, because you don't want a pointy seam after sewing. After doing that, then adjust here also. And that is the princess dart. Even mere looking at it, you will see the princess dart has been formed. And note, we are adding 1 inch here, 1 inch here. I've already explained that. Make sure these 2 inches is added to your waist measurement. And also the width here should also be added to the bust measurement. And that is just that on how to cut a princess pattern. Now I'll be talking about the dart variation. Like on my previous pattern I drew, you will see I have half an inch here, half an inch here, and up here I did 1/4 inch dart on both sides, and then I came up by half an inch because the total width I have here for my dart is half an inch. The reason why I did this is because this is okay, but if you want it to protrude a little bit, you can just make it 1 inch. So I do both of the pattern based on how I want my my design to look like. And also you might be wondering, what if someone has a bigger size? For instance, I'm 42. A person could have a bust of 42 but not as fat as I am. The person might be slimmer but has more bust than height. There's a way to go about that. All you have to do is come down by 2 inches. Like for the normal one, I came down by 1 inch. But for a person with bigger bust but of the same bust measurement, just come down by 2 inches. And also up here, go up by 2 inches instead of 1 inch. This will make the person, the bust of the person accommodate this area, the curve. And I have already made clothing, which I already, mere looking at this, you will see this has a bigger curve. So a person that is slim and has a bust of 42 should wear this. It will be comfortable. But this is for the normal one without a big bust. Can you see the difference? This has a more bigger curve than this, because here I came down by 2 inches instead of 1 inch in which I came down here for. And that is it on Princess Dart. Now we go to the modified one, which is called the Princess Bustier. What you have to do is follow the same rule, but here you will need your under bust measurement, both vertical and horizontal. So now my bust, my shoulder to under bust is 14, which is this line. So here, instead of starting from 1 inch below the bust point, here that will be starting from the under bust. So what you do is you come in by 1 inch on each side of the bust span on the under bust line. So 1 inch here, 1 inch here, and then going to your waistline, you come in by half an inch. Then you join together. First, let's draw a straight line. After doing that, then join the dots. So here you won't need to come down by 1 inch. So after doing this, you will use your comb to blend this to this. After blending it up, when you come here also, try as much as possible to blend it up because you don't want to have any sharp corners. And here also. After doing that, your Princess Bustier is formed. You can see this goes inner at the under bust compared to the classic one. So now we will cut it up. Let's start with the classic. Cut off the dart. The dart portion are going off. And for the princess bustier, we start cutting. Make sure all these places doesn't have a sharp edge, because you don't want to have sharp edge after sewing your clothes. This is the pattern for the princess bustier, which is the modified one, and this is the normal princess that is the classic one. Here you can just see it's just a normal curve, just the connection from the armhole to the waistline, but here it goes in deeper at the under bust, because maybe you want your bust to protrude more, to be more pronounced. You can use this type, but my preference is the classic one, and that is just it on for a full princess cut top. Just connect it from the waistline down to the that at the hip, and then straight down and cut it, and you will have something like this. This is a princess dart for a full top, and that is it on princess dart. Hi, hope my tutorial has been helpful to you. If it has, just give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.